I keep a Bible in my pocket when I'm riding around. I keep a pistol by my side when I'm touching down. Don't want us to survive, wanna take us down, but I'm
Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, giving all praises, honor, and glory to the Most High God, Yahweh. Do so in the name of Yahweh Shai, who you know as Jesus Christ. This your boy, Padatas of War. You already know what it is, man. Genesis Israelites, man. Check it out. So, look, as you already can see right now, you can already see the title of the video. It says, "Attention Christians. If all nations can receive salvation, explain this." And see, the whole purpose of me doing this video is because a lot of times when we dealing with Christians, we having these conversations with Christians on the streets, or whether it's sit down, whether we talking on live or whatever, however we doing it, we had these conversations with Christians, and a lot of times Christians, instead of trying to deal with the text head on, they like to go here, what about this, and go into different topics, opposed to actually just talking about what the text is actually saying. You feel me? So I was, doing my studies, and I was going through a certain chapter in the Bible, and I said to myself, I wonder how Christians are going to be able to get out of this. You know what I'm saying? Because don't get me wrong, we set traps when we dealing with a lot of these Christians, man. But a lot of these Christians are of course they're leaning on their own understanding, and they're not allowing the Bible to be the basis in which their beliefs is based off of. They base their beliefs, a lot of them are basing their beliefs based off of religion, their religion that they're following, opposed to actually basing their beliefs off of the Bible. So what we're going to do is we're going to read the Bible today. So what I'm about to do is I'm going to share my screen. But before I share my screen, like the video, subscribe to the channel, share the video. Also, you can check out some of the in the description, you can check out some of the other camps, some of the other video channels we have. Also, if you want to join Genesis Israelites, hit the email deacon@genesis144.com. Hit us up if you trying to get down with the camp. You feel me? So what I'm about to do is I'm about to share my screen. We're about to get it popping. You feel me? So hold it real quick. Is it sharing? Okay. There we go. So let's start. We about to get straight into it. Deuteronomy 30. As you already can see, Deuteronomy 30 is where we're going to start. So let's go here. So Deuteronomy 30 says, "And it shall come to pass," meaning something's going to happen. You see what I'm saying? "And it shall come to pass when all these things are come upon thee." What's going to come upon us? The blessing and the curse. Where do we see the blessing and the curse? Where do we see that at? We see that in what? Deuteronomy chapter 28. That's where we can see the blessing and the curse. You see what I'm saying? Deuteronomy 28. But see, this is the thing, like in Deuteronomy 28, 15, verse 15, it says that if we don't keep the commandments, that curses will come upon us. But see, if we would have kept the commandments, good things would have happened to us. You see what I'm saying? Which would mean what? Because you already know that we believe that breaking the commandments of God, like if you transgress against the laws of God, you're in sin. So to break the commandments will put us in sin. And to put us in sin would put us under curses. You see what I'm saying? So let's look at who the Most High gave the law to. Let's look at who the Most High gave the law to. Let's go to Deuteronomy. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 4. 4. Because look, if the Most High gave the law to the Israelites, the moment the Israelites broke the law, because like pursuant to Deuteronomy 28 and 15, they would go under the curses. You see what I'm saying? So let's go to verse 44 in Deuteronomy 4. Okay, here we go. Deuteronomy 4 and 44. And this is the law. This is what? This is the law which Moses set before who? The children of Israel. These are the testimonies and statutes and the judgments which Moses spake unto who? The children of Israel after they came out of Egypt. So he's letting you know this is the law we set before the children of Israel. Also, he lets you know that these statutes, these judgments, these testimonies which Moses spake unto who? The children of Israel. So he gave this law to the children of Israel. And then, like I said, Deuteronomy 28 and 15 said, if we break the law, we will fall under the curses. But if we kept it, we would be in the good graces of the Lord. But the thing is, when you continue to read in Deuteronomy 30, it says what? And thou shalt call them to mind among all the nations, whither the Lord thy God have driven thee. So he already knew at this time, y'all are going to break the commandments. Y'all going to break the commandments and fall under the curses. Why am I saying that? Because it says we're going to be calling this to mind among all the nations where we've been driven. One of the curses is us going from one side of the earth to another side of the earth, being sold to another people. You see what I'm saying? Us literally going into slavery to other nations. Us coming from one end of the earth to another end of the earth and having to serve people. So that's the only reason why that's the only reason I can fathom why we would be calling this to mind among all the nations where we've been driven, because of the simple fact we broke the commandments and it put us under that curse. You see what I'm saying? And us calling them to mind is literally us, we broke the commandments. We wasn't doing what we were supposed to do. We did the wrong things, man, and now we just trying to get it together now. You see what I'm saying? We're trying to get it together now. So that's really, that's that. Now, let's continue. Let's go to verse 2. It says, and shall return unto the Lord thy God, and shall obey his voice according to all that I command thee this day, thou and thy children with all thine heart and with all thy soul. So it's saying that, and we shall return. So it says, first it says, thou shalt cause among all the nations where the Lord thy God has driven thee. So we've been driven to these other nations. It says, and we shall return. It says, and shall return unto the Lord thy God and shall obey his voice. So it's talking about obeying his voice. How do we obey his voice? Because what are we supposed to be obeying? Let's go to Deuteronomy 6, because in Deuteronomy 6, we can see the same type of the way that this text is written. We can see that same type of verbiage and usage when we go to Deuteronomy chapter 6. Let's go here. Deuteronomy chapter 6. Now, these are the commandments and the statutes and the judgments which the Lord your God commanded to teach you, that you might do them in the land whither ye go to possess it, that thou mightest fear the Lord thy God, to keep all his statutes and his commandments which I command you this day, thou and thy son and thy son's son, all the days of thy life. It says, and that thy days may be prolonged. So here we see we were supposed to keep these commandments, and not only us keeping the commandments, we should be teaching them to our kids. I should be teaching it to my son and my family, and my son should be teaching it to his sons, and his son should be teaching it to their sons. We should be keeping that going of us teaching to keep the commandments of the Most High God. That's us coming back to his voice, keeping his commandments. That's how we return to the Lord. You see what I'm saying? That's how we return to the Lord. So let's continue. Let's go back to Deuteronomy chapter 30. It says, verse 3, that then the Lord thy God will turn thy captivity and have compassion upon thee, and will return and gather thee from all nations, whither the Lord thy God have scattered thee. So then he's going to turn our captivity. When you read captivity, so this is showing you that we're going to be in captivity. We're clearly going to be in captivity because we didn't keep the commandments of God. You see what I'm saying? We're clearly going to be in captivity. But it says he'll turn our captivity. So him turning our captivity, the way that we know that this is talking about him ending our captivity, because it says he's going to have compassion upon thee. You see what I'm saying? It says, and will return and gather thee from all the nations, whither the Lord thy God have scattered thee. And when you read Ezekiel, watch, when you go to Ezekiel 36 and 19, it tells you that he was going to scatter us. You see what I'm saying? And then let's go to Ezekiel 36 and 19 real quick, because it tells you he was going to scatter us. Watch. It definitely tells you he was going to scatter us. Hold up real quick. Okay, let's get it. Ezekiel 36 and 19. And I scattered them among the heathen, and they were dispersed among the country. They were dispersed through the countries according to their way and according to their doings. I judged them. So because we wasn't doing what we were supposed to do, as a result of that, the Most High was going to scatter us among the heathen, and we were going to be dispersed through the countries. So we would be amongst the heathen in these different lands, man, because we wasn't doing what we were supposed to do. Another example of us being scattered amongst the heathen or amongst other people is when you go to Acts 2. Because when you read Acts 2, it talks about what? On the day of Pentecost, it was talking about how, let's just start at the top. We'll start at the top and read it. I don't even want to paraphrase it. Let's get it. Acts 2. And when the day of Pentecost was fully come, they were all with one accord in one place. And suddenly there came a sound from heaven as of a rushing mighty wind, and it filled all the house where they were sitting. And there appeared unto them cloven tongues like as of fire, and it sat upon each of them. And they were all filled with the Holy Ghost and began to speak with other tongues as the Spirit gave them utterance. And there were dwelling at Jerusalem Jews, devout men out of what? Every nation under heaven. So it's telling you there's Jews, but they're where? Out of every nation under heaven. Now, when this was noised abroad, the multitude came together and were confounded, because that every man heard them speak in his own language. And they were all amazed and marveled, saying one to another, behold, are not all these which speak Galatians? And how we hear every man in our own tongue, wherein we were born? Parthians, Medes, Elamites. So it's showing you all the different places that these people were in. But they were what? Verse 5 says what? Jews, devout men out of every nation. Jews literally living in other nations, man. Literally. You see what I'm saying? That's literally what's taking place. This is showing you that we were scattered in other nations, but it was Jews living in these other nations. You see what I'm saying? So let's go back to Deuteronomy 30. It says, and have compassion upon thee, and will return and gather thee from all the nations, whither the Lord thy God have scattered thee. So he scattered us. He scattered us because we wasn't doing what we were supposed to do. Verse 4. And if any of thine be driven out unto the outmost parts of heaven, from thence will the Lord thy God gather thee, and from thence will he fetch thee. So it don't matter how far we've been driven, the Most High is going to fetch us from that place. You see what I'm saying? So that's what that's basically going into. Verse 5. And the Lord thy God shall bring thee into the land which thy fathers possessed, and thou shalt possess it, and he will do thee good and multiply thee above thy fathers. So once we get brought into the land, he's going to do us good. You see what I'm saying? And multiply thee above thy fathers. This is also a cut to the small hats, because they're over there in that land and he's not doing them good. He's not doing them good at all. He's not doing them good at all. But it says that when the Israelites, the true Israelites, get into the land which their fathers possessed, thou shalt possess it, and he will do thee good and multiply thee above thy fathers. Verse 6. And the Lord thy God will circumcise thine heart and thy heart of thy seed, to love the Lord thy God with all thy heart and with all thy soul, and that thou mayest live. You see that? So our heart will be circumcised. We will be keeping the commandments automatically. You see what I'm saying? because we been entered the bond of the covenant. We're keeping the commandments automatically. You see what I'm saying? So we don't have to worry about breaking the laws of God. We're going to be keeping the laws of God. You see what I'm saying? We're going to automatically the old covenant, which is the laws, which is dealing with the laws, that will be written on our heart. Verse 7. And the Lord thy God will put all these curses. So this is the question for the Christians. Verse 7. And the Lord thy God will put all these curses upon thine enemies and on them that hate thee, which persecuted thee. So hold up. So we're not going to be breaking the laws, because this is talking about circumcising our heart. Our heart being circumcised is us keeping the commandments of God. You see what I'm saying? Pursuant to Deuteronomy 10 and 16. I believe 10 and 16. And then when you deal with our heart being circumcised, you deal with Romans 2. So what I'm saying is this. So we're going to be keeping the commandments, because like I said, Jeremiah 31 through 34, it talks about what? It talks about once we enter the covenant, once we enter the new covenant, it talks about that we're not going to be sinning no more. We're not going to be breaking the laws of God no more. So we're not going to have no reason to be, we're not going to be under the curses no more. We're going to be in good graces with the Most High. But here we see in verse 7, it says, and the Lord thy God will put all these curses upon thy enemies and on them that hate thee, which persecuted thee. So the curses is going upon the heathen. So how the hell can the heathen receive salvation if once we get into our land and we're going to be in a perfected state, the curses are going to go upon them, meaning they're not going to be in a perfected state, because they're going to be, they're not, that's what I'm saying. Like, for the curses to go upon the heathen, for the curses of Deuteronomy to go upon the heathen, I mean, the curses of Deuteronomy 28 to go upon the heathen, and for us to be in a perfected state where we're not breaking the laws because our heart's been circumcised, and for the curses to come upon them, my question is, how can, first and foremost, one question I have, how are we on equal playing field? My second question I have is, how is the heathen receiving any type of salvation if we're in the land receiving the good graces of the Lord, and the heathen is receiving the curses of Deuteronomy 28? What is good about the curses? What's good about going through the curses? Look, let's look at some of these curses let's go to the curses, because that don't make sense, you know? Like, to sit up there and say, oh, the heathen's going to receive salvation. The heathen's getting salvation, but the curses of Deuteronomy 28 are going on the heathen. So what good is being brought to the heathen at this point, dealing with the 1,000 years of captivity that's coming? What good is being brought upon the heathen at that point? Because they're going to be in a subjugated state. You see what I'm saying? See, we're going to be looking at us, and when we are in a we're in a state of, entering into the new covenant. Blessed shall be thy basket, thy store. Blessed shall it be. Hold up. Blessed shall thou be when thou comest in. Blessed shall it be when thou goest. Stuff like this, we're going to be blessed. My whole point of even bringing this up is just showing you we're going to be blessed. But the heathen going to have to deal with stuff like this. Let's see. Cursed shall be the fruit of thy body, and the fruit of thy land, the increase of thy kind, the flocks of thy sheep. Look, let's look at some of this stuff, man. Let's go. The Lord, verse 25, the Lord shall cause thee to be smitten before thy enemies, and thou shalt go out one way against them and flee 7 ways before them, and shall be removed into all the kingdoms of the earth. So they're going to be getting smitten before us. You see what I'm saying? We're going to be the ones doing the waving the iron rod on them. You see what I'm saying? When they get out of line. You feel me? But we're going to be doing it in righteousness. You see what I'm saying? It says the Lord shall smite thee with madness, blindness, and astonishment of heart. We was dealing with madness, man. Our people to this day are still in a mad state of mind. You know what I'm saying? Literally, man. Our people crazy out here. Hey, these are just some of the curses I'm reading. I'm just going into. Let's go to, where is the one? Look, 35. The Lord shall smite thee in thy knee, in the knees, and in the legs, and a sore botch that cannot be healed from the sole of thy foot unto the top of thy head. Niggas gonna be having, hey, niggas gonna be having bad knees, man, and legs. Like, come on, man. Come on. You feel me? Let's go. Look. So this is the thing. This is the key point right here. This is the key one. Verse 48. Therefore thou shalt serve thine enemies. And we're going to be considered, we would be one of their, we would be their enemy in the kingdom, because we're going to be the ones that's going to be ruling over them. They will consider us enemies because we're ruling over them. You see what I'm saying? It says, therefore thou shalt serve thy enemies. So they would be serving us, which the Lord shall send against thee in hunger and in thirst. They're going to be serving us in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee. So they're going to have a yoke of iron upon their neck. They're going to be serving us. Look, you can't sit up there and be like, oh, this is just talking about they're going to be serving us like butlers, this and that. No, because look, anytime you're serving your enemy's not about to sit up there and be looking at you like and treat you like you a butler. He going to be treating you like, nah, make sure you go pick them sticks up, or I'm gonna or you're going to be laying over there by them damn sticks, man. You know what I'm saying? They're not treating you, they're not going to be treating you the best. Come on, man. They're going to be serving, you're going to be serving your enemies. So how can the heathen receive any type of salvation if one of the curses is you having to serve your enemies? You being a damn slave to your enemies. How can the heathen receive salvation? Let's go to Jeremiah 30 and 17. So when you read Jeremiah 30 and 17, it says, for I will restore health unto thee, and I will heal thee of thy wounds. He's dealing with the Israelites, saith the Lord, because they called thee an outcast. Hold up. I read the wrong verse. Let me go to, my bad. Let me just bring the whole chapter up and go to verse 16. I'm at 16. Jeremiah 30 and 16. Therefore, all they that devour thee, all that have devoured the Israelites, shall be devoured. And on thine, it says, all thine adversaries, every one of them shall go into captivity, and they that spoil thee shall be a spoil, and all that prey upon thee will I give for a prey. So this is literally what's going to happen to the other nations. All there are adversaries. Every one of them, they're going into captivity. So how can the heathen receive any salvation if Deuteronomy 30 says that the curses are going to be put upon the heathen? The curses are going to be put upon the heathen. The curses of Deuteronomy 28 are going to be put upon the heathen. One of them curses is slavery and captivity and serving your enemies. And then you read, like I just read, Jeremiah 30 and 16 also says, therefore all they that devour thee shall be devoured, all thine adversaries, every one of them, they're going into captivity. How do you get around that? How do you get around that? And then when you go to, then when you go to Isaiah 60, now, after the 1,000 years of slavery, yes, the heathen is going to be, they're not going to be at, like how we, had them subjugated. They're going to be able to go back to their own land and stuff like that. but they're still going to be in a state of, they're still underneath us. They're not going to be, go back to their land and, oh, we're going to be puffed up. We're going to be over the Israelites. That's never going to happen. We're going to always be over the heathen. After the 1,000 years of y'all getting y'all slavery, y'all getting y'all backs beat in, y'all gonna go back to y'all own land, and guess what? We still gonna be the top. We're gonna be the top of the top. It ain't gonna, we're gonna, you know what I'm saying? We're gonna be the apex of this. You feel me? You know? So let's get Isaiah 60. When you read Isaiah 60, you see what I'm saying? It talks about where am I trying to go? It says, verse 10. And the sons of the stranger shall build up thy walls, and their king shall minister unto thee. For in thy wrath I smote thee, but in thy favor have I had mercy on thee. So they're gonna have to build up our walls, man. You see that? They're gonna have to build up our walls. Then verse 11 says, therefore thy gate shall be open continually. They shall not be shut day nor night, that men may bring unto thee the forces of the Gentiles, that their kings may be brought. You see that? That their kings may be brought. The forces of the Gentile. Let's go to hold on real quick. Let's go here. Let's go to Isaiah 60. Look at this. Forces, the strength, the might, efficiency, the wealth. You see that? When you do a definition, probably a force, whether men, means, or resources, an army, wealth, virtue, value, strength, able, activity, band of soldiers, power, riches, strength. What's these people's strength? We're gonna be taking their money, man. We're gonna have the wealth of the Gentiles, man. You see that? They're gonna, man. This is just like, that's what I'm saying, like, bro, like this. It just don't make sense. It don't make sense. So, with that being said, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna close out. Yeah, we're gonna close out. This is a short video. Definitely a short video, but it was just trying to get straight to the point, So Christians, I need y'all to explain Deuteronomy 30, and I need them questions answered, man. If all nations can receive salvation, or salvation is eligible to all nations, then my question is, why in Deuteronomy 30 it says after the Israelites get into the land where they're going to be dwelling safely, and they're already going to be in a state of, entering into the new covenant. And I mean, the new covenant talks about it's only for Judah and Israel. How in the hell can other nations receive any type of salvation if the curses of Deuteronomy is going to be upon them while the Israelites are doing good? While they're in a good state, the curses are going to come upon the heathen, putting them in a bad state. And one of them curses is slavery. So if one of them curses is slavery, how do you get around that? How can they receive salvation? So I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to close out and give all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High God, Yahweh. Do so in the name of his son, Yahweh Shai, who you ignorantly know as Jesus Christ. This your boy, Padatas of War. Shalom.